A1.9-3. And hey guys, let's do this. Pretty. I know there's not that many people in here, but Chupinski and Al start by moving your row back. Kev and Madeline and Sarah, move your row back, and then let's do this row lined up about right here. Kind of line up with this row if you can. I didn't feel bad. I always feel bad for Meredith and Melissa and Sean because they got bad angles. Yeah, they got bad angles. Sean's the man. Sean
doesn't even look at the board. He looks at his notes.
Oh! Miss Chickless got
I didn't make the joke.
Oh, God.
Sean was looking.
All right, here we go.
325th.
Notes.
Miss Chickless.
Okay. All right, we're going to do a pre-9-3 lesson here. Talk about how to solve equations using square roots, okay? Believe it or not, guys, listen, this is very important. You would never, ever, ever solve a quadratic by graphing, okay? You're going to learn, hold on. You guys already know one way to solve quadratics, but you don't yet? No. So that way, the way you guys already know, graphing, square roots, completing the square, and then the be-all quadratic formula.
Factoring?
Factoring, genius. You guys already know how to solve these because you already know how to factor, okay? Guys, there's 5 ways that you are going to, in a week or two, figure out how to solve quadratics. Graphing? No, don't. We're never going to do it, okay? Square roots? Good way to do it, all right? But you only use square roots when b equals 0. See if you understood that comment. You only use square roots when b equals 0. We'll get there though. Kevin.
On the quadratic
Formula?
No, with the homework over the weekend with that were equations, and I didn't get it because we never taught it. And I tried to,
Okay, yeah, make excuses again. Don't take responsibility for your own learning. But go ahead.
but I showed it to my brother, and he's like, why wouldn't you just factor it? And I'm like, no, I'm supposed to graph it.
Marty's a smart man. Why didn't he do the quadratic formula? It surprised me. A kid in the other class, A-Rod, his brother already taught him the quadratic formula, and he came and he's like, why can't we just use the quadratic formula on all these? Because it works every time. So we'll get there. That'll be the last thing we do.
Why is that not just the first thing we do?
Yeah.
I hate when you ask good questions. So, all right, let's do by square roots. You guys know this, but let's refresh our memory about square roots. The number a is the square root of b if a squared
Equals b something.
no equals b.
Yeah, b something.
Okay. Now that you got that filled in, reread that sentence, and hopefully it'll totally make sense to you. The number a is the square root of b if a squared equals b. Obviously, okay. So 6 squared equals 36. Everybody agree with that?
Sure.
That means that 6 is the square root of 36. You guys already know that. But did you guys know that there's another number that you square and makes 36?
Yeah.
What number is it?
-6.
Negative 6.
Oh well, that's.
What do you got to put around it, Nico? Parentheses.
Same number.
And negative 6 with parentheses around it also makes 36, which means, based on the previous sentence, the square root of 36 is also negative 6.
Is there a phony number that squares with 36?
All right, so 6 and negative 6 are square roots of 36. Believe me, it's true. All right, your job is to memorize, and you guys I think already have it, the first 15 perfect squares. Okay?
1.
1.
3.
Hold on.
2.
3 is not a perfect square, neither is 2.
Okay.
But let's do this in order. What's the square root of 1?
1.
1. What's the next perfect square after 1? It ain't 2.
4.
4. What's its square root, Henry?
2.
2. Catch on to the pattern. What's the next perfect square after 4?
6.
9.
Okay, 6. Square root of 6 is 3.
9.
9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Now, if you were confused about this, the smart kid writes 1 through 15 across the bottom and then just squares each number.
Yeah, I was like,
Okay? I'm going to do it the smart way. I'm going to do it because I know the perfect squares.
That's
16, 4. 25, square root is 5. 36, 6, 49,
25,
7.
36. Oh, no.
Okay. 64 is a perfect square. Its square root is 8.
81.
81 is a perfect square.
100.
Its square root is 9. 100 is 10. What's 11 squared?
21.
121. How many of you guys had that one memorized? That's one of the tougher ones. See, kids mix that up all the time. 121, its square root is 11. 144.
169, 196.
169, 196. Okay? There's a trick with 13 and 14. 169 and 196, they take the 6 and the 9 and they switch the digits around.
It's a switcheroo.
And then, do you guys know the 15th one?
225.
225. You see that number a lot. Memorize it. Okay? When you get to high school and when you're really smart, you guys are all really smart, you will have to know the first 25 perfect squares.
What's after that?
All the way up. 16 is, holy cow, what is it?
312.
No, it's 2. Somebody square 16 real quick.
I got
Nico, get your calculator.
248. 248.
256.
256. I knew it was when I
I
heard of
was
it.
so close.
256, 17, and 20 I know is 400. I got some of them right. 20 is 400, 21 is 441 or
441. 289 to 17 squared.
Nice. 289, you see that one a lot. And then go all the way up to 25. 25 you see a lot. 25 is 625.
What about 324? That's 18.
What's 324? 18 squared? Okay.
19.
No, 441 is
21. So you might have to know the first 25 or whatever. All right. Let's simplify these square roots. Please use your brain first, and then use your calculator maybe to check them, or if you are unsure. But use your brain first. The square root symbol, I think you guys all know, it's that little old-fashioned division symbol with a little hook at the front.
No.
Okay, it's square root. For what we've done so far, we've only used the positive, or they call it the principal square root. Okay? So you don't have to worry about the negative one right now.
Check mark with the hat.
If there's a sign in front of the radical, they call this a radical sign. Did you guys know that? I didn't mention this last period.
Check hat.
Guys, the square root symbol is also called the radical sign. Everybody say radical sign.
Check hat.
Radical sign. So, another way to say the square root of 64 is to say radical 64. Radical 64. That's the way maybe your high school teacher will say it. We'll say that when we get into the whole chapter on radicals. I think the next chapter, guys, is all about radicals. I love radicals.
What are
Use your calculator.
Square roots. Anyways, all right. Let's worry about just the positive or the principal square root, unless there's a sign in front of it. What's the square root of 64? 8. That's the principal square root. Negative 8 is also a square root of it, but because the directions said we're going to use only the positive or principal one. What's the square root of 169?
13.
13. What's the
Negative
opposite of the square root of 100?
Negative 10.
Why are we going to put a negative sign in front of it?
It's in front of it.
So negatives
There's
outside
negatives-
of the
yeah, there's an
radical.
outside of it. What's the square root of 9/25?
3/5.
3/5. Nico, did you do that in your head or did you cheat?
I cheated.
Don't cheat. Use your brain. It's good habit. Now, I think we've talked about the plus minus sign being in front of something before. That's plus minus the square root of 1 over 121.
So do we have to write plus minus?
I don't know why.
You put plus minus in front of your answer because it's plus or minus 1/11. So there's actually two answers to that problem. Positive 1/11 and negative 1/11. Okay? But now, try to type in the square root of negative 16.
Error.
Guys, how can you multiply a number by itself and get a negative value?
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Can you do negative 4 times
It's what?
Negative 4 times 4.
Guys, nothing will make a negative number when you multiply the same thing twice. So, we write there is no real answer.
Is it
Not
from-
solution. Guys, not solution, because these are not equations.
Number?
We solve equations. No real answer. But I am going to tell you what the answer to this is.
Yeah.
We're going to do it eventually.
What's an
Oh, is
imaginary
it
number?
What is
phony
it? Is it
number?
I?
Is it a phony number?
Is it 11 team?
It's not 11
It's
team, no.
4I.
It is 4i.
Whoa! I am so good.
And it's a little cursive, lowercase, little cursive I. That isn't a cursive,
That was
just a
impressive.
lowercase I.
That was impressive.
That was pretty impressive. Okay. And we're going to do imaginary, oh, what does I stand for? Imaginary numbers.
Phony.
The I is what you do with negative square roots. Comes out as an I. All right, if the square root of a number works out evenly, the number is rational. Okay? Anybody smart enough to tell us what's a rational number?
It's non-fake.
Looks like if we looked up in Webster's dictionary, what's a rational number? What would it say?
Any
No, because
Oh.
irrational numbers are also real. What's a rational number? You guys know this. We've done it before.
integers.
Integers.
Yeah, they include integers.
Integers are rational numbers, yes, but so are fractions.
Oh
Okay.
man, that's not
A rational number is
So you can square root something.
Nope. Anything that we can write as a fraction is a rational number. There's a big technical definition of it, like something like any number you can write is the quotient of a over b, where a and b are both integers.
That's a fraction.
That's a fraction, okay? Guess what? If the square root of a number does not work out evenly,
Pi.
Guess-
Irrational.
it's an irrational number.
What's an irrational number?
Pi.
Pi.
What else?
The square root of a number that you don't know the square root of?
Are all phony numbers irrational?
Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh. Try to think of imaginary numbers or imaginary numbers got to be irrational. Don't call them phony, Kev. I think you're going to confuse yourself and others. You want to call them imaginary? I'm cool with that, but not
What
phony.
about fake?
That might be.
I love you.
Phony imaginary.
So, what do you think irrational numbers? You can't do it.
Non-fraction.
Yeah, you can't write them as fractions. Okay.
But aren't there fractions?
Hold on. I'm going to explain that, Alec. You're thinking that's good. No fraction. But here's the deal. Because everybody's like, you can take anything and put it over 1, you make it a fraction. Well, technically, that's not right. The top and the bottom have to be integers.
Is it one integer?
One's a rational number. All right, so tell whether each expression is rational or irrational. Plus or minus the square root of 225. Does it work out evenly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of number is it?
Plus or minus 15.
But I don't want to know the number. I just want to know, is it rational or it's rational. You can abbreviate it RAT, guys. I don't care.
Or
Rat.
irrat?
Please put an R.
Don't write R because that's the symbol for real numbers, Nico. Good point. You didn't know that. Okay, don't write just R because that's actually the symbol for real numbers. And they're all real. Okay, the square root of 2 is here where we get our first irrational number. Okay, and if you're not sure, type the square root of 2 into your calculator, and it says 1.4 something, something, something. Guys, nobody can take the square root of 2 and write it as a fraction with an integer over an integer. Okay? And some kids are like, we go square root of 2 over 1, I just made it a fraction. Well, that's not an integer over an integer. Okay? Even though they're like, well, there's 2 at the top. That's not a 2. That's the square root of 2.
Which isn't that an integer? Oh no, it isn't.
The square root of 2 is not an integer. 2 is an integer. But anyways, you can't write that as a fraction, so it's irrational. Now, this one is tricky.
Oh, I thought it said 144.
It says negative the square root of 1.44.
2.
Type it in.
Negative
Rat.
1.2.
Negative 1.2. So, is it rational or irrational?
Rat.
Rat.
So if it's a perfect square divided by 10, will it always be rat 2?
No. Because 9 is a perfect square? And if you divide it by 10, it's 90, and the square root of 90 is not rational. Good try there, good thinking.
Most
But
of them know, aren't they?
how about square root of 1/3, guys?
Rat.
Irrat. How about 1/9?
Rat.
Rat. Because the square root of it is 1/3, which is a fraction. The square root of 1/3 is not rational.
Were you
It's
showing a
irrational.
bunch of these in this homework?
Yeah, it's part of your homework.
Yes.
That's like this much of your homework.
Dang it.
Go ahead, Sean Sadao. You always ask good questions.
Yeah.
Great. You have a calculator? Oh, you don't have a calculator out. You get your calculator out and try this, then you can ask me. Until then, sit.
Oh, good question.
All right. That's a very minimal part of your homework. Next part of your homework, yeah, you need your calculator out.
Doesn't use calculator.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah, no, you just did it.
I saw you in Murph's floors.
When are we going to get our
Hopefully tonight.
Sean, you're gonna be disappointed.
Sean is not going to be disappointed.
Sean's not gonna be disappointed?
Sean is not going to be disappointed.
Am I gonna be disappointed?
Not at all.
Am I gonna be disappointed?
Kevin.
Nice.
Alec?
Oh God.
You just said.
You're
Is
gonna be fine.
anybody gonna be disappointed?
You guys all did fine.
Did anyone make a roll?
Can't answer that question, but you all did fine.
That will.
Okay, so
That just. What's fine mean?
You did good.
For yourself.
I do.
You did fine.
for yourself.
Mostly fine. I don't like fine.
All right.
Tell us the number of people that got under 2 Excel.
Just say
15
2.
of you, I think.
Out of everyone in the whole court.
No more than that. 16 maybe. Got accelerated.
How many got regular?
Who got algebra 1?
It's half and half, and not really many people got algebra 1.
Like 1?
You guys all did fine. All right. Between which two consecutive integers is each square root located?
Oh, that's
So.
a clever question.
It's in between. If you know your perfect squares, you just list the perfect square that's below it, and you list the perfect square that's above it. Okay? The square root of 20, guys, is in between 16 and 25. So it's in between 4 and 5.
What's their answer there?
48.
Well, I'm not going to answer that question. Everybody type in the square root of 20 in your calculator. What is it? What is
4.5.
Is it in between 4 and 5? I want you to do it without a calculator first. Now, here's my question. Is it closer to 4 or 5?
4.
I don't know.
How do you know it's closer to 4?
Because it's 4 away.
Because it's a little bit closer. So you would say it's about 4. Have you guys ever seen the about symbol?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 4. Here, I'm going to try to get through these quickly. 64 and 81. Good job. If you know your perfect squares, so that'd be 8 and 9. Which one's it closer to?
Well, we don't know what the square root is.
9.
9.
Well, look, it's 6 away from here, and it's 9.
Oh.
No, it's 11 away from here. So it's a little. So it's about square root would be about 9. Okay. Negative square root of 144 and negative square root of 169, which is negative 12 and negative 13. Let's see, it's 6 away, and so it's clearly closer to the negative 12. I'm going to write negative 14. Brain not thinking. So that's part of your homework too. Try to do it using your brain and your perfect squares. Type it in your calculator if you need to. Next ones, everybody just type those into your calculator and watch what happens. You are to round them to the nearest hundredth.
You have 2 and then the square root.
How many decimal spots, guys, do you when you round to the nearest hundredth?
2.
2 decimal spots.
Wait, how do you find the square root of something?
Okay.
2 and the square root button.
Depends what calculator you have. Let's see yours. Yours is your second button.
Click second.
So hit second,
Oh, second.
x squared button,
Second.
and then type in 2,
Oh.
and then hit equals. What's it say?
1.4.
Right, it's rounded to 2 decimal spots, you get 1.4. How about 105, guys?
10.24.
I got 10.25.
Uh-oh.
So did I.
10.25. You're like, guys, I'll mark it wrong if you can't round. You put 10.24, it's wrong. How about the negative 123.72? Okay.
123.
And how about the square root of negative 77?
8.775.
Wrong.
No real
8.77.
solution.
8.8.
Okay, no real solution.
Domain error.
No real
Yeah.
answer.
No real answer. Yes, I do not like the word solution. No real answer.
No, when you just do whatever, like 77 is.
It would be, the answer would be, but it's not a real number, it's imaginary.
8.8i.
No, it's actually I radical 77. You put the I first.
Why?
Because
Why do we have to learn about this?
you don't know the square, you can't simplify the square root of 77, so you bring your negative 1 out as an I, and it equals I radical 77. We're going to do a whole chapter on those. I love negative I's and negative square roots and all that stuff.
Are they easy?
Why is that?
Yes, they will be easy for you guys, I think. You guys are pretty bright. You guys are good.
Usually says.
All right, here's the deal. What happens, guys, if you're driving kind of fast and you hit the brakes as hard as you can?
Your car
You
goes
fly out the windshield.
No. If
No
your car doesn't
seatbelt.
stop, it leaves a skid. Okay, hopefully you guys have never had
No
a
seatbelts will fly.
skid mark, but here's the deal. The formula, S equals the square root of 13.5D, estimates the speed S, so S stands for your speed, in miles per hour, that a car was traveling when it applied its brakes. And then it left a skid mark D feet long on a wet road. So this must be, do you think you can go, you would skid longer or shorter on a wet road compared to a dry road? Longer. Okay? Estimate the speed of your car if you had a 120-foot long skid mark. That's a long skid mark.
How fast were you going?
Okay? We're going to find out. It would equal the square root of 13.5 times D. D is skid mark, which we know to be 120. So everybody put in 120 for D. Grab your calculator, times it by 13.5, find the square root of it, and that'll be how fast you were going. Round it to the nearest tenth.
Wait,
No,
What do you
1 or
do
2
first?
decimals left.
you find the square root first?
Okay, you can do it all in
You
one.
guys know you do your multiplication, order of operations
What do
first.
you round it to?
So Darryl, do you know how to use this calculator? Just so you're practicing typing things in? Give me your shoe.
Wow, what?
So he doesn't go off with it.
Okay,
So he doesn't what?
Go off with it.
so it equals the square root of, I typed it in, I got 1620,
What?
right?
I got 40.25.
Well, that's the square root of 1620.
Yeah, I got 40 points.
And then, so S would be about 40.25 miles per hour. So when you're going about 40 miles per hour on a wet road, you're going to leave a 120-foot long skid mark.
Yeah, but that's if you
If you
stop.
have bad tires.
That's it.
Yeah, I bet there were bad tires.
Depends on the car also.
And beer.
All right, here's the deal. Now let's get to what most of your homework's going to be. Come on, we don't have much time left, guys.
Shoot.
Let's say we wanted to solve the equation x squared equals a.
Yeah.
What variable are we solving for? X or a?
X.
A.
Both.
A.
Good answer. Which one is easier to solve for?
X.
A. We already know what a equals.
A equals x squared.
A equals x squared.
X squared is not equal.
Okay?
Yeah, but
So
X squared equals A.
solve the equation x squared equals a. We're going to
Well,
solve
you
it.
have to square X.
We're going to solve it for
Yeah.
x. Okay.
I don't know what x is.
Now these type of equations, and this is what we're going to do for our homework, is when b equals 0. Okay. Make sure that your variable squared is isolated. There's that word again. Isolated. What's the word isolated mean?
To
Alone and lonely and
Get it by itself. You need to get your x squared by itself and then square root.
isn't it already on the south by itself though?
Some of them are already by themselves, yes. Square root, I think cross off that word of. It didn't make sense to me. Then square root both sides. Okay? So, let's solve each equation. X squared equals 36. The x squared is isolated. It's by itself already. Square root both sides. And show that. You have to put your square root symbols on both sides. What's the square root of x squared?
X.
X. That's why we do it. And then, what's the square root of 36?
6.
There's another one too, though.
Negative
So
6.
so
You got-
plus
here you-
minus.
Plus or minus.
Plus or minus 6.
That's
Okay,
your answer?
so- Right, put a big old star. Don't forget. Plus or minus. And you only do that when you square root both sides. It's like a math thing that happens there. All right, go ahead, Olson.
If it's like negative 36, wouldn't you only put,
No, if it's negative 36, it would be no solution.
so it always has to be plus or minus.
But
There
if
can
what if
never
it was
just be-
negative?
There can never just be x equals 6 or x.
No, what if
Right.
there was a
You can only
negative?
just one. Guys, it goes back to our, what's the degree of these things?
2.
2. There's 2 solutions.
Wait.
Okay.
what
Cube on.
if It was like negative, then
Let's get there. If we don't get there, ask at the end. Let's try to get through these notes. Square root both sides, x equals plus or minus. What's the square root of 196?
14.
14. And notice, you can substitute them back in and they both work. Positive 14 squared equals 196. Negative 14 squared. Parentheses around makes. But now, let's make some tougher equations for you
What if
guys.
parentheses are on the third 14?
What if what?
What do you put parentheses? Oh, no.
Man, hold that thought. Oh gosh, I don't know why we're here. All right. Is your n squared isolated?
No, and 100
Everybody add a hundo to both sides and then square root both sides.
Wait, what?
You gotta isolate your n squared.
Oh.
So
Do that so easily, just by your hand.
yeah, well, you don't want to now square root it. N equals plus or minus 10. The next one, you got to subtract 40 and divide by 3 to isolate your squared. You still got to get rid of your a over there. So, everybody do it. Calculators. 3k squared equals,
367.
I think it's 363. Type in 403 minus 40.
It's 360.
Yeah, divide by 3. K squared equals 1, 2. Ooh, perfect square. How convenient. Square root both sides. K equals plus or minus 11. When you take the square root of both sides, you have to account for the positive and the negative.
It's gonna be the majority of our homework.
Yeah, this is what your homework's like. 36. Hey, might have fractions. M squared equals 4 over 36. Can you reduce 4 over 36?
Yeah.
1/9.
1/9. Very good. 4 goes in both. Square root both sides. M equals plus or minus 1/3. Okay, this is what your homework's going to be like. All right, now, first tricky one. Subtract 50. 5w squared equals negative 50. W squared equals negative 10. Take the square root of both sides.
No real answer.
No real solution. If you put answer, I guess that would be fine, but we solve equations, so that's why we're going to work.
Oh, it's
It's a negative value. It's a negative number.
What's the square root of 0?
No, I meant like why
Root of 0 is 0.
why you wrote solution this time with their equations.
Is there a plus or minus 0?
No, 0 is not positive nor negative, it's neutral. Okay? Plus 30. 2x squared equals 0. That means x squared equals 0.
Do we have to put plus or minus?
X. No, don't put plus or minus, because 0 is not positive nor negative. Okay? Somebody say something intelligent about this one.
Okay.
Why is there only one solution?
Because
Because 0 is neutral.
No.
well, the degree is 2.
The degree is 2, so there should be 2 solutions.
Yeah.
Think about what if you graphed it. What would it look like?
Hey, go through the origin.
Yeah, but what would be on the origin? What'd you say?
A dot.
A dot. Very good.
There would
Oh.
only be one solution because it would hit the x-intercept once.
What would hit the
Vertex.
vertex, guys, is on the
Double root.
origin.
Yeah,
It's-
double root.
It's a double root. That was a bad parabola on my part. There's a better one. So this would
So
be
the
one
two
of the
solutions are actually x equals 0, x equals 0.
correct.
So is that infinite minus?
All right, now let's do our first one. Doesn't work out evenly. Grab your calculators. Subtract 17. Negative x squared equals negative 17. Divide by negative 1. X squared equals 17.
What are we rounding to? 100?
Square root, x equals plus or minus 4.1. One decimal spot, you're good to go.
How would
4.1. Ooh, we got some like terms on I.
2x squared.
2x squared equals 14. X squared equals 7. Square root both sides. X equals plus or minus
Yes or minus
2.6.
2.6?
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Fantastic.
Okay. Next one, add 9. 4x squared equals 12. X squared equals 3. X equals plus or minus
1.7.
1.7. That was the worst equal sign I ever made. X equals plus or minus 1.7. We're rounding to the nearest tenth. Now, the tricky ones. Do not start these next ones, even if you think you know what you're doing. I doubt you know what you're doing. Don't.
I'm doing the fifth grade course.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the homework?
It's on the Solai and on the team website. All right. You're probably going to have to come in, Meredith, if you can't. These two problems. We should have made more than 2 of these guys, because I don't think 2 of them can take care of it. All right. What do you do?
You foil factors.
No, that's what everyone wants to do. That's a good start, Cubon, but do not foil those.
I did.
They're already factored. Here's my
Minus
question.
square root of them.
Guys, does everybody agree that the whole left side is being squared?
Yeah.
So I can take the square root of it and it'll cancel or eliminate the square.
You do the same.
But if I square root the left side, what do I gotta do?
It's the right side.
You have to square root the right side.
It's the same thing as foiling.
No, it's not.
It is.
What does the left side say now?
X squared plus 16.
Oh my God.
Minus.
X is already being
Or no.
squared, Eller.
X minus
Thank you, Sean. Guys, square rooting it eliminates the squared. They cancel each other out.
Equals 7.
Plus or
Mm.
minus 7.
Plus or minus 7. Because we took the square root of both sides.
So then
Then
would
you
be
add
when
4,
we have
x
to-
equals 11. Plus or minus 11.
Nope.
No?
Because you already factored out
That's
Plus
what
or
I see.
minus negative
plus or minus 11.
Nope.
3 or
3.
3
Oh.
or 11.
No, you're
Negative
close.
3 or 11.
Plus
Guys.
and minus 3.
Alex, you don't talk because you never have any clue what's going on. Listen,
Plus 11.
Negative
not plus
3.
or minus.
Or
It's-
11.
can I do the 11 first? 7 plus 4 is 11. Negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. There's our two solutions. So they're not the same.
Z.
All the other ones was plus or minus a number. You actually gotta solve by moving that other number over, that 4 in this case, moving it over, and then do 7 plus 4 and negative 7 plus 4. Square root both sides here.
That's not
X
bad.
plus 7 equals plus or minus. What's square root of 196?
14.
14. Plus or minus 14. Subtract 7 from that number.
X,
From both those numbers.
X equals 21 or 7.
You were such a lazy bum.
What did I do?
It doesn't equal 21 or 7.
Negative 21.
Oh, I added both sides. What are you talking about?
14 minus 7 is 7, or negative 14 minus 7 is negative 21.
That's what I said.
That is not what you said.
I said 7 or not 21.
All right, that's what your homework is like. And again, those last two guys,